Hello, everybody. It is Apex to Asphalt for today, February 16th, 2026. Darryl Kinsey Jr., Christopher Lehman here with you this evening. Formula One completed their first preseason test in Bahrain as we get ready for what is shaping up to be a controversial 2026 Formula One World Championship. Mount Panorama doesn't get tamed, it tames drivers, and in Bathurst 12-hour, that rang true once again. The WRC rallied in Sweden, while Monster Energy Supercross was in Seattle, home of the Super Bowl champion Seattle Seahawks, and the 250s put on a heck of a show. Amsoil Snowcross returned to the birthplace of modern snowmobiles in Valcourt, Quebec. The 2026 NASCAR season is officially underway, following the Daytona 500, and much more on this edition. We'll get to all of that after we pay some bills. We'll be right back after this.
For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube to keep up with the latest in sports and with all of our shows. Also, make sure to check out our daily updated website at iesportsradio.com. At iesportsradio.com, you can see our daily show schedule and check out all of our show pages with personal bios to learn a little bit more about each of our awesome hosts. In addition to our show pages, you can catch the iSports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month page, and our merchandise shop including t-shirts, tank tops, caps, long sleeves, hoodies, and more. For now over a decade here at IE Sports Radio, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and we thank you all for your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports.
All right, let's get to it. Chris, thank you so much for joining us once again. Let's get in to the weekend that was in racing, and we will start with the Formula One Bahrain review of the first test session. And as a reminder, as will be on the bottom of the screen for this entire segment, the lap times mean nothing. The lap counter does mean something. And that's how we're going to talk about this as we get into the first segment of the night.
I don't really think I believe that the lap times mean nothing, Darryl.
Yeah, at Wednesday about 6:40 in the morning, after the morning session to test a lap one, I get a text from Chris, very excited because Max Verstappen was on the top of the timing sheets for the morning of day one.
Yep. The narrative that the timing means nothing was right out the window at about 6:40 Wednesday morning. But I think, while obviously the lap times don't matter, I do think we learned a lot about the 2026 season over the week, really, but particularly I feel like a lot of talk heated up Friday after testing was done, particularly with comments from Max and Fernando about how this car is, and they were not what I would call good, but we'll talk about that after if you want to do a little lap count breakdown.
Yep, so we'll go ahead and get into the lap counts. I think Lewis also had some comments that were not very flattering of this car that we'll get to. Williams taps the lap counter for the first test session with 415 laps, which is a great showing after they didn't show up at Barcelona at all. McLaren was second with 414 laps complete. Ferrari 408. Haas in fourth with 383, and Audi completes 344. A good run for them after they had a lot of struggles with their engine during the shakedown. 6 through 10, Red Bull 337, the Racing Bulls 326. Cadillac 315, Alpine 311, and then at the bottom of the heap, was not expecting this going into test day, Mercedes 270, Aston Martin 203. Both of those teams are on the back foot right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And Aston Martin is definitely either bringing sandbagging to a whole new level, or they are in some major trouble this year.
Yeah, well, Mercedes, they definitely had some suspension and engine issues that hobbled their ability to get laps down. That Aston Martin Adrian Newey car, everyone was excited for it this year. I think it's time to temper expectations, because after one testing period and the shakedown, it doesn't look good in the British Racing Green Brigade right now.
No, it really doesn't. And I believe that Lance Stroll, just looking at the notes here, I think so he said that he believes that they are about 4.5 seconds off the pace, which at that point, don't even bother showing up.
I don't even know why they're putting that car on the truck if that's true.
Yeah. Save your money.
4.5 seconds.
You're not even, I mean, nobody else was that far off, even close to that far off.
I mean, save the cost cap money and just come back next year.
Yeah, at that point. That, or they're sandbagging to the most wild extreme.
I don't know, because Alonso also had comments, and we're going to get into these comments soon. He was not happy with the car at all.
No, he was not.
And he can get animated on the radio if the car's not going well. If they don't improve this, it's going to be an all-time Alonso radio year.
Yep.
For his comments.
Yeah, the it will be good because Max also hates the car, which we'll talk about in a minute as well. And so,
but Max always hates the car.
Yeah, that's true. He just hates racing. Well, he hates racing in real life. But it will be a legendary year as far as radio and media interviews between Max and Alonso, if this car is actually as their perception of it is.
Mm-hmm.
But who knows? We'll talk. Yeah, we can
go ahead and get into it, because if you watched any of the social media reactions to the cars, it's not great. A lot of power is being lost due to the battery down the long straightaways. The cars basically, it looks like they stopped dead going down the front stretch at Bahrain.
And then they lose speed.
Yeah. It's been noted they're extremely slow in the corners because everybody is trying to save battery charge for the long straightaways, which there are plenty of in Bahrain. And I don't know if you saw the clip of the practice starts.
That's abysmal.
Because they don't have the MGUK, which is the motor generation unit, KERS, and it's only the heat-based motor generation unit, they can't spool the engine or the turbos as high as they need to get the cars off, and half of them stalled on the practice start. Now, Oscar Piastri tried to save it by saying that he was instructed to wait for the car in front of him to go, but that did not look good. And if that is what we are looking forward to in 2026, maybe they should just put all the races in private, because I don't think anybody's going to want to watch this.
And this is a flag that Ferrari raised, I believe it was 18 months ago.
Yes.
And everyone just told Ferrari basically, like, deal with it. And now, so Ferrari figured it out, and now everybody else is having problems, and they're like, oh, we need to change this. And now Ferrari is like, now you guys can deal with it. We'll use our veto on this.
The question was brought up is, can they use that veto if it's on safety grounds? I believe the answer is no. So they could circumvent Ferrari's veto by saying it's a safety issue, which they wouldn't exactly be wrong, because the last thing you want is someone not realizing that a car is stalled in front of them and going up the back of them on a race start.
Realistically, I only expect that out of one person, and he probably stalls too.
Yeah, if he can even get the car into gear And
Yep.
we're probably talking about Mr. Stroll there. But
You said it, not me.
so let's get into these comments. Verstappen and Alonso, as we said, they have been vocal about the rule changes. Max stated that it's less about the racing talent and now more about the resource, read energy management. Also called it Formula E on steroids. Alonso said that the team cook could race the car competitively. I kind of want to see that. And
I'd watch it.
I would watch the Formula One cooks race.
To be fair,
honest.
there's really not any racing that I wouldn't watch, but I would watch that.
Yeah.
Well, actually, Darryl, you kind of get the Cooks racing. All you have to do is put on the Arkham Menard series.
Hey, they knew where the brake pedal was this week. I will give them that. So it's rumored that a lot of drivers feel the same way, but they don't really want to voice their opinion because they don't have the clout that the world champions do to voice these opinions. And then you've got the newest guy to join that club, Lando Norris, who basically said Max should retire if he doesn't like the new car.
Lando would like that, wouldn't he?
Yep. And then ranted about how much money they make and how they should be grateful to be there. And Lando Norris, if you are going to be a world champion in Formula One, there is responsibility with that role in having that championship. And that is to basically be the arbiter of the feelings of the paddock as far as the drivers are concerned. And you are failing that first step. And it's
especially when it is rumored that a lot of basically everybody else on the grid agrees with Max and Alonso, and I think to a lesser degree Lewis. I don't think he was as harsh, but they don't think that they have the star power or name recognition to speak out without retribution, or at least their voice meaning something.
Yeah,
and so
that's
Lando,
kind of how it goes.
Yeah, so Lando taking this where, he does have a voice, he does have star power, and he's just saying to everybody, basically, shut up, be grateful, and drive. I mean, what a slap in the face.
It really is, and it doesn't help when your champion, supposed champion, is going that way with it and not defending his guys, to throw the rest of the grid, especially your veterans and your world champions, under the bus like that. It's not a good look. And Lando, I don't think he realizes how much of the 8-ball he's behind in popularity, because a lot of folks are not happy he won the championship. It is pretty much the fans' belief that McLaren gifted him that championship and did something to Oscar Piastri's car. And comments like that only make it worse.
I think I'm going to, before next week, I'm going to get a tinfoil hat and just keep it on my desk for when we go on these rants. I can just tinfoil hat. But yeah, it's just the fact that currently on the grid there are 14 world championships. 13 of them have spoke out about this being kind of like a bad car.
Yes.
So one of them says, shut up and be thankful.
13 is greater than 1 is how I would answer that.
Significantly so.
Yeah. So we'll see how this goes. I don't know what the FIA could do to improve this if the issue becomes as serious as we think. But I will say this to a certain segment of the Formula One paddock. The V10s are not coming back. The manufacturers do not want the V10s because it's not relevant to the work they're doing. If they wanted the V10s, they would have been back by now.
Just like you're not getting a 900 plus horsepower NASCAR.
I mean, we could get that, but we need electrification, which is a whole nother conversation, which I don't want to get into.
Something that was basically completely lost this week because of just recency bias with comments and stuff being made
Mm-hmm.
is apparently the FIA did successfully complete a hot compression test on the Mercedes engine. They did not publicize the results of it, but apparently they did successfully test a hot engine.
Nice. I hope that person is okay, because that seems dangerous, but apparently there wasn't much of an issue.
Allegedly. That's
Yeah.
obviously with them not publishing anything, you really can't substantiate the claim, but the claim was made by a reputable it was made by, I don't think it was the Dutch guy that's always got the break on Red Bull stuff. I think it was
Mhm.
some other random guy, but he had like a really high follower count and seemed like a legit journalist, so I kind of took it as a little more reliable information than, Rob 7555438, whose account was made in, November of 2025.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's some validity to it.
I think there was, and I think now everyone can shut up because apparently Mercedes is going to have bigger issues on its hands as far as its team's concerned. And going into the second test, everyone's going to have, they've got that first notebook. Now it's time to go through the advanced test and see if we can improve on some of these issues that we're seeing. Mainly the fact that there's not a lot of speed right now in the corners, and hopefully we can build that up and get some actual passing done, because if not, this is going to be a brutal season.
Yeah. I think we should throw props to Ferrari because
Mm-hmm.
it was reported that in the shakedown and here at preseason testing, they've used the same engine.
That's great reliability.
So the fact that Ferrari's, it seems like they're stress testing their engine, which that's a good sign. They've had some engine issues over the years, but really, I want to see their strategy team running through simulations more than their engine department.
Their strategy team is the one that's had the most issues going forward, if we're being honest.
Yeah. It should be like Matt, you remember Madden, like way back in the day, you used to be able to play like the scenarios.
Yes.
And you used to always be like you'd be the Titans in that one Super Bowl, and you'd have to score the touchdown instead of getting stopped on the one.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I think I broke a controller on that one.
That one was tough.
But I feel like the Ferrari team should have to go through like some rigorous scenario testing like that.
Mm-hmm.
And because they lose a lot of races.
Yeah.
But
so
and then not to toot Max's horn, but apparently Red Bull has come out victorious from preseason testing session 1 because they're the only team that can maintain battery charge. Did you see about that?
Yeah, that's going to be a huge advantage going into this season, that they can keep their battery, which means they can keep their speed, because you lose the battery charge and GP2 is probably faster. Or not GP2, F2 is faster.
So apparently Toto Wolff said that most teams were losing electrical charge. Like they could do full deployment for about 2 or 3 laps, and then they were losing charge. And they clocked the Red Bull as going 10 plus without having to, back off or anything like that, without losing any deployment.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be something to look forward to. If you're me, anyway.
It will be interesting to see how this session second set of tests shakes out. You can check it out on F1 TV, which is now on Apple TV for those of us in the States. You can check out the the testing as it goes on. We'll go into the Bathurst 12 hour now, and I will say that it was one of those races where the Mountain definitely won, but we got a couple of serious conversations to talk about when it comes to the 12 hour. As Haupt Racing Team, HRT, the Ford Mustang, we were very excited. We were extremely excited, actually, to see how that would go. Only lasted 15 minutes after Chris Mice, hit a 200-pound kangaroo about 160 miles per hour. We are going to get into a description of what just happened. We're going to give a trigger warning here for those of you watching. It will give you 5 seconds to go ahead and mute, because it is a description of gore and, unfortunately, death, as obviously the kangaroo did not survive. So we'll give you 5 seconds, then we'll get into that.
And we'll be back in 30 seconds. Unmute in 30 seconds.
Yes. So Chris was initially parked on the side of the track for an unknown reason, but clearly there was engine smoke, and the face and fire suit were wet and covered with a red fluid, which we would figure out was the blood from the kangaroo. Initially, broadcasters believed it was fluid from the car. It was later confirmed that parts of the kangaroo ended up inside the driver compartment of the car. Chris got out of the car covered in blood on the fire suit, helmet, and his helmet visor was up at the time, so his face also got covered, unfortunately, in kangaroo pieces. And in fact, I read that it was so bad that the safety crew kept asking if he was okay until he had to shout that it wasn't his blood.
Yeah. And apparently the team was like vomiting as they were cleaning the car up.
I bet. I would honestly just light a match and write it off.
Yeah. And Chris Mice said that like he was like he threw up multiple times on the side of the track.
I bet he did.
Well, because it wasn't like there are pictures online. You can go find these pictures. We're not going to show them for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
Even though we could. But it's not just blood, the last meal and the digestive process. I mean, he wasn't covered. When we say he was covered in organic matter, it was the less fun bits of the body as well.
Yeah.
I think that gets the point across.
It's not pretty. And he said that his kid wanted a kangaroo plushie from Australia. He said he would probably get him a koala instead, because I don't think he wanted to see any more kangaroos after that. But just thank God he's okay, because hitting a kangaroo that size at 155 miles per hour, and if you see the pictures of the car afterwards, it just tore apart the hood and the windshield. This easily could have been so much worse than it already was. And thankfully, Chris is okay. He's traumatized, but he's okay, and he will race again.
Yep. And I do think this car is going to be looked at for sure. Because while the safety glass did its job, it also failed.
Mm-hmm.
Because a big portion of that windscreen is peeled away. So I'm sure they're going to be going through and taking a second look on the construction of that. And Bathurst is a very unique track in the sense that every year there's a kangaroo incident.
Mm-hmm.
Kai Allen almost smoked one full speed last year at the Bathurst 1000. Low visibility, just like today. And I think there are calls to start the race an hour later. Just because then they will be in at least dawn scenarios where you do get a little, you have a little bit of light coming through.
Mm-hmm.
And, but we talk every year, Darryl, there's always a kangaroo incident at this track. They put up temporary fencing. They do walkthroughs. They clear it out. But wildlife is just, kangaroos are untamable. just like Mount Panorama.
Yeah, they're going to do what they're going to do, just like the mountain. It's going to do what it's going to do. The second incident, and this one is more infuriating than trauma-inducing, and that would be the incident involving the then race-leading 77 Craft Bamboo Racing Mercedes AM GT3 at the time. And I saw this crash live, and it was infuriating what happened. Johannes Zelger, in the Tsunami RT Porsche spun on the approach to Forest Elbow, and the car was already damaged before he got spun at Forest Elbow and was stopped perpendicular to the racing line in a blind section of the racetrack. If you've ever watched a race at Bathurst, you know where this is going.
Well, and the pavement is only 2 car lengths and maybe 2 feet wide.
It's about that wide. It's not. It's
so
a very narrow section.
When he is perpendicular on the track, that means that another car cannot drive by and keep all 4 tires on the grass or on the pavement. That it is a very narrow track.
Yeah, and there's really no place for the drivers to dive off to the side of because there's a concrete wall on the left-hand side.
Yeah, you got a couple feet of grass and then concrete wall.
Yep. So Zelger spins, and then Ralph Aaron, who was leading the race at the time, comes around the corner. He is at full speed.
Blind corner.
Blind corner.
Completely blind corner.
And he's having pit communication issues. So they're trying to tell him that the car is there, but he cannot hear them. And he slams head on into the side of the Porsche at about an estimated G-forces of 27 Gs. His car briefly catches fire. The Porsche is absolutely destroyed.
Yeah.
Aaron actually has 2 fractures in his back. Thankfully, he's got full sensation in his limbs. Zelger, thank God, was uninjured in the crash. The race was actually red flagged while they cleaned it up, but this was an incident where the sanctioning body, the race officials failed, the track marshals failed, the communications failed, and we're just lucky it didn't take a life.
Yep. And I think there was so many failures. But I do think it comes back to, and we've seen this controversy in NASCAR before. We've seen it in virtually every motorsport. If a driver loses communication with the pit box, that car needs to be black flagged until it is fixed.
Yes.
That is a non-negotiable. I remember there was huge controversy around Chase Elliott a couple of years ago because Chase lost comms, and I think he ended up winning the race or something.
I think it was the All-Star race or something.
Yeah.
No, the All-Star race was when his window net came down.
Yeah. Yeah. But it should be an automatic black flag. If you have lost communication with the pit box or the pit box loses communication with you, it should be a black flag until that is resolved.
It's a serious safety issue, and we saw it with that crash. Thankfully, everybody, though, was okay. And the 2 Mercedes behind them that came through, they got through a gap that was about 2 Mercedes AMGs wide, and that's it.
Yeah.
And somehow they shot that gap like Cole Trickle in Days of Thunder and made it through.
You just had to bring up Days of Thunder, Darryl.
Of course.
Rest in
dropped through the
peace.
smoke.
Rest in peace, Robert Duvall.
Yeah, rest in peace. He passed away.
But it was a 100% avoidable incident. We're going to talk about this again later this year, Darryl, because in F1, the marshals are going to go out onto the track when cars are on the track, or there's going to be a safety car and there's going to be like a forklift on the track or something, and the cars are going to go by, and we're going to have this conversation again. That's why I don't even get upset about it anymore, because
it's a conversation we're going to have 6 or 7 times this year, and nothing's going to change.
6, 7, Darryl. Jeez, you are on a roll.
I just can't avoid it today. I don't know what's going on. But yeah, it's going to be a conversation that we keep having till someone dies, except for someone did die and we didn't change it.
A couple people have died.
Yeah.
And so I'm not even I don't even get mad about it anymore because there's nothing I can do about it.
Yeah.
And at this point, like, racers know that safety is not as much as a concern as it's pretended to be. And so now it's a race at your own. I mean, it's always been, race at your own discretion, but now really so.
Hopefully we won't have to have this conversation this year after a track marshal gets injured or worse. But with the various racing series and the decisions that they've made with this call, it's unfortunately only a matter of time. And we don't want it to be that way. I want to say that we don't want it to be that way, but folks allegedly smarter than we are making these decisions, and they haven't been the greatest decisions. So in the Bathurst 12-hour, we'll only go over the pro podium. The Mercedes AMG team GMR takes the win. The 888 conquers the mountain. High Class Racing is second in the Porsche 911 GT3R. And Team WRT in number 46. The BMW M4 GT3 Evo takes third with Valentino Rossi, one of those drivers.
Hey, so there is something worth celebrating for us Americans.
Mm-hmm.
Corvette was here running their first. They've actually never taken a lap at Bathurst before, and they started P24. And it took them 2 hours and 50 minutes to go from P24 to leading their first lap at Bathurst. It was not long-lived.
No.
But it's good for Corvette. It's good for US. I believe this was also the first time Ford was in it.
First time for Ford and first time for Corvette. So
yes.
Right.
So we were getting, in the Ford, like Darryl had said earlier, we were really excited about because Brock Feeney was piloting it. And unfortunately that car went out 15 minutes into the race. But there was a lot of hype around those two cars. And Brock Feeney did do the qualifying. I did watch the qualifying. And that kid is a magician. He put it up. I think it was like P6 in qualifying the first round, and then they went to like a top 10 shootout type of deal. But that was going to be at like 4 a.m. our time, and I couldn't swing that. Doing 12:30, 1 o'clock was long enough. But the American manufacturers did really show up for the Bathurst 12-hour in a very real way. Unfortunately, we did not get to see the Ford, but it was showing a lot of promise. And then the Corvette did have what I would say it was a very successful run for a first time. And I see Larry's up in the chat. He watched. I know he watched it because he was blowing us up.
Larry had a busy weekend. I saw he was in a strongman competition. This weekend as well. So congratulations to that dude.
Yeah,
saw that on the TikTok. I'm not that old.
He bench pressed an Indy Light car.
So congratulations to him. We are going to take a quick break. When we come back, the WRC was in action in Sweden, and Supercross probably had their best race of the year. We'll talk about that on the other side of this break here on Apex to Asphalt on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's up, everybody? This is Darren Rodriguez. Are you a fan of volleyball? Are you a fan of Thunder Spikes? Then I have the show for you, Set Point, where I cover NCAA men's and women's volleyball, high school boys and girls volleyball, beach volleyball, and even professional volleyball. Catch the action every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hi, esports radio fans. This show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, single-A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all-brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
And it's time to get into the World Rallycross. Round 2 of the season was held this weekend in Sweden, and we'll go over the cliff notes of day by day. On the opening day, Oliver Solberg, of course, leads coming out of day 1, but catches a snowbank, falls back to P6. Elfyn Evans takes over P1 on day 2. On day 3, Evans maintains the lead. Solberg fights back to P4, about 33 seconds from Evans. And on the final results, the Toyota Yaris locks out the top 4 with Elfyn Evans P1. Takamoto Ketutsta finishes P2.
That's a tongue twister.
I think I said it right the first time, to be honest. I think that T was silent. Sai Pajari finishes P3, and Oliver Solberg finishes P4. Next up, Rally Kenya on March 12th through the 15th. And Chris, they're out of the cold. They're heading to Africa, but the rallying only gets more treacherous from here.
Yes, the snow might be the easy part. Snow is it's very forgiving to drive on as far as textures go, because they're out there. They have track crews out there. They're grooming that track. You can find some pictures online. We actually posted one to our Twitter account. I don't know, Tuesday maybe. And it's like I kind of did like a Jeff Gluck Quiet Track, but like a prequel series. And these tracks are groomed like perfectly. So it gives you a very flat surface to start on. Then, you race through it and it changes a little bit, but mud and dirt is not as forgiving, and those tracks are not groomed. So this is the easy part of the season over with.
It's going to be exciting. Check it out on rally.tv when the WRC comes back around, as we are now into the third round of the season coming up. Monster Energy Supercross was held in Seattle. The 250s put on the show of, not just of the event, the show of the year between Levi Kitchens and Hayden Deegan, not Haley, Hayden. as those two went bar for bar, lap for lap in the 250 final. It was Hayden Deegan that picks up the win, but Chris, it was not easy.
No, it was it. That was a great race. It was such a game of cat and mouse, and that's what made it so exciting, was because they swapped the lead a couple times. Um, and it just I think this battle in particular really highlighted a Achilles heel for Hayden Deegan, and that is the fact that that kid does not like looking forwards when he's in the lead. I've noticed it throughout his career. He always looks back, particularly if he gets the lead. The first lap where he's in the lead, when he crosses usually the finish line, he always takes a peek back to see. And I mean, we see this in every motorsport there is, Darryl. Once you start driving, looking out your mirrors the whole time, that's when you're accident prone. And that's what happened. I mean, that's what kept Levi in this race, is the fact that Hayden always looks back over his shoulder, and that's how you allow yourself a mental vulnerability.
Kitchens had a couple of opportunities to get around Hayden because of that, because Hayden was not focusing on his line and instead focusing on where Levi was and where his rivals were. And that's probably going to be his Achilles heel going forward. The problem is right now he's so talented that he can get his way out of those mistakes. But when he gets to the 450s, and make no mistakes, Hayden Deegan is going to be on a 450 at some point. Mistakes like that are going to get punished, and he's got to work that out of his system now.
Yeah. The Lawrence brothers are not going to let you get away with that.
No.
Eli Tomac is not letting you get away with that. Ken Roxon's not letting you get away with that. That he's got a little bit of, and I think that goes back to the same conversation that we had last week, Darryl, because we had this exact conversation about him being held back in 250s because of Dad Brian, and Yamaha signed on, of course, because why wouldn't they be like, yeah, let's go dominate 250s for the year. He's dominating 250s in a way that we have not seen in a long time, but we see this a lot in the lower series, where you can have a driver dominate and then they get up against the pros, the best of the best, and they struggle. I think Jet Lawrence moved up a little too quick from the 250s as well, which we don't see him this season because of an off-season training incident. So Jet hasn't even raced this season. But yeah, I mean, in any sport, if you move up too quick, you are really vulnerable, and hopefully Hayden Deegan can get this figured out. You know, it should be easy to not turn your head back and just watch your mirrors, so to speak.
The LB53 says, I can see him being like Ricky Carmichael. I think he's already halfway there. It's just he works out this one little issue in his game, and I think he's going to be great. Meanwhile, the 450s, which have been an absolute barnstormer this season, Cooper Webb got the whole shot and led until about 8 minutes to go, when Eli Tomac takes over and storms to a 9.5 second lead to pick up the win. Cooper, Webb, and Justin Cooper, both on Yamahas, round out the podium. But Hunter Lawrence, who we just were talking about, speaking of the Lawrence brothers, made a boneheaded move trying to pass Ken Roxon less than 3 minutes to go, took both of them out. Roxon finishes P10, Lawrence finishes P4, and that just keeps the top five compressed in 450, because it is an 18-point swing between that group going into the next event. And I think it's going to come down to the last round, because you've got five guys, especially with Ken Roxon and Eli Tomac. Eli Tomac, the old man, he can still get it done. Ken Roxon is healthy for once, so he's
Knock
showing what he can do. Knock on wood, yes.
with the knock on.
Yeah. It's
That was
going
a
to be exciting.
that was a really nasty collision with Lawrence too. I mean, Lawrence just popped in there, and the crazy thing is Lawrence is behind him for what I would say is it in like he's at a distance where he can watch Roxon's line and know what he's doing. So he's close enough where he knows what's going on. And he just decides to shoot it around the outside on Roxon, knowing every lap, like clockwork, Roxon enters low, goes high mid, and then cuts it. Roxon's he's doing a V, if you think about a V with his corners. And a lot of the other guys are, particularly in this case, Hunter Lawrence, he's doing a U. He's sticking right to that outside. And he just shoots it right around the outside, which is, to be honest with you, it was dumb because he had 3 minutes left. He was the fastest man on track by like almost a second a lap. He just found something and he was in it. And so it was boneheaded. He was going to finish P2 or P3 without a doubt. This Lawrence. He was going to finish P3, maybe P2, but probably not. But he ends up P4. Roxon was going to finish probably P5. Roxon finishes P10. So it was just, and he took ownership of it, but it was boneheaded.
He's got a lot to work on before we go to round 7, but Supercross putting on a great show. 450s, it's going to come down to the wire. 250s. Somebody's got to figure out how to stop Hayden Deegan. He's probably put out there what it takes to stop him, but can anybody do it consistently? We'll see going in the next round.
I think this is a spoiler alert for later. My storylines for next week. I think Levi Kitchen unseats him next week.
That is a hot take, but I think I think it's a take that I'm interested to see come to fruition. And yes, shout out to Michael Jordan. We're going to get to that in our final segment coming up.
Probably in about 10 minutes.
Yep. As we get to talk about the weekend that was in Daytona and NASCAR. For now, we're going to get into Amsoil Supercross. Snowcross. They were up in the GP Ski-Doo Develcourt for the Pro Lights and Pro categories. We'll go over Saturday and Sunday briefly. Saturday, Dylan LaBelle had a nasty crash on lap 1 of the Pro Light race. Did not return to the race or the weekend, which we'll get to. Drew Freeland picks up the Pro Light final win. So someone not named LaBelle won at least something on Saturday.
Yep.
In the Pro category, I mean, stop me if you heard this one before. Jordan LaBelle wins again, though it did take about 5 laps for him to get the lead this time. Creighton Dillon finishes P2. Great finish for the rookie. And another one of those races that could be a contender for race of the year, even though it was the dominant power that got the win. Yeah,
and I know you're planning on catching up on it, Darryl. You had Saturday was Valentine's Day, and so I know you were quite busy, and this was the Saturday set of races, and Sunday was Sunday. So, but this, if you're gonna watch one snowcross race from this year, which it's on Flow Racing, go watch Saturday, the Pro class, because Jordan LaBelle kind of does not get the start he wants. It takes about 5 laps of battling with Gustav Salston. Creighton Dillon comes up from like P6 off the start, finishes P2. That kid, he's going someplace. He's really showing what he's got because he ran through that field in the 15-minute race. And he was impressive, like really impressive. But Jordan LaBelle, he just had that. There's a rhythm section on the straight just before you come. You hit this rhythm section. You do a 180-degree turn, and then you kind of hit like a double, and then you're at the finish line. But in this one rhythm section, there's 7. Yeah, there's 7 jumps. And so LaBelle is the only one that's triple, triple, single. Everyone else is double, 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 single. And so LaBelle he just ran with it. He was the only one that could hit that line. But Salston had enough of a lead that it took LaBelle a while. So that's a great race. Saturday Pro Series. Go watch that race if you watch any.
And we'll take it over to Sunday now, where Dylan LaBelle in the Pro Lights, as we said, did not race. Cam Cole picks up the win in what was an uneventful Pro Light final. Meanwhile, in the pros, Jordan LaBelle and Creighton Dillon had a great battle on the opening lap. LaBelle, though, gets the whole shot. 6 minutes to go. Emil Haar crashed from P3rd, ends up going down a lap and finishes last. Unfortunate for him. And Jordan LaBelle, again, wins. Creighton Dillon finishes P2 again to sweep the second position for the race weekend. And in the pro standings, they look something like this. Jordan LaBelle leads with 280 points. Daniel Benham is second with 251 points. And Creighton Dillon, the rookie, on the back of 2 second-place finishes, is now in third with 248 points.
And heartbreak for Emil Haar too, because that wreck knocked him. He was comfortably in third, but then you lose out on 14 points to Creighton Dillon, and he's only down 5 points. So Emil Haar would be P3 without that wreck. So heartbreak that's a tough break.
So the next time up for Amsoil Snowcross will be the Seneca Allegheny Snowcross National in Salamanca, New York.
Salamanca. Oh,
yep, there's an A missing. Salamanca, New York.
Yep.
Next weekend, February 20th, 21st. Chris, this is up in your neck of the woods, but I don't think you'll be there this weekend.
No, not with a 1-month-old baby at home, Darryl.
Yeah.
But yeah, Salamanca's, it's 2 hours for me, so it's really not bad. It's at a casino,
nice.
a big hotel casino, so with literally nothing around it. So so they do a little price gouging that weekend, but it's a huge event for the area. So and it is, if you look up Salamanca, New York, it is literally in the middle of nowhere. Like so it's a great event for them. I have been once. It was years and years and years ago. And just since I got adult money, I've only been once. I should probably make a point to go back. But honestly, since Tucker Hibbert retired, like you'll never have a first love like your first motorsport athlete. You know, well, maybe you, Darryl. I know you like Bubba, but Jeff Gordon holds a real special place in your heart.
Absolutely.
And Tucker Hibbert, I grew up watching Tucker Hibbert, and so when he retired from snowcross, I mean, I fell out of it for a little while, and but I don't know, it's just not the same. You know what I mean?
It's hard. I know for NASCAR, when Jeff retired, those first couple of seasons without him were really tough to watch as far as Cup was concerned.
And because Willie B really didn't hit it until about 5 years in.
Yeah, he really didn't hit his stride until later, and then by then Bubba had jumped up into the Cup Series. But even before then, Chase Elliott was in that 24, and he really didn't get cooking until they put the 9 on the side of his car. It's going to be similar this year in the NHRA, and Larry just mentioned it in the chat. You know, this is going to be the first time probably in my lifetime that I watch an NHRA event and a force is not going to be a part of it and has nothing to do with injury. All of them are retired. Brittany retired to go have kids. John, unfortunately, got injured out of the sport. And it's going to be a weird NHRA season without a force on the Grant in the staging lanes. And I'm actually going to the Potomac Nationals in May. So it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, it will be a tough season.
It's hard when your legends retire. I'll tell you that much.
Yep.
So we're going to take our last break of the evening. When we come back, we're going to get into the weekend that was in Daytona. And Michael Jordan finally got himself a ring as far as NASCAR is concerned. We'll talk about that on the other side of this break here on Apex to Asphalt on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Davidson.
It's your boy, Dentarius Law.
And we are the hosts of Fast Break here on IE Sports Radio, where we discuss everything in the world of basketball from prep to the pros.
You guys should definitely check us out, man. Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We got all the basketball information you guys need, so we look forward to you guys listening in.
And please do, because we are the best basketball show on this side of the Mississippi. And please do check us out on Twitter at FastBreakISR. D-Lock, where's our time again?
8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. That give you guys plenty of time on a Sunday.
Tune in.
Rise and shine. Rise and shine. It's 4 a.m. The stars are still out. The sun is beneath the horizon, but it's time to punch in and go to work. The comfort of your warm-ups turns into the grinding out of your reps as the clinking and the clanking of the plates create a symphony of euphoria. There's no other feeling like it. Earn it, burn it, and take what's yours. IE Sports Radio has proudly partnered with Vital Apparel, a brand that not only fits great, but also promotes and donates to mental health research. Use our code IESR to get 15% off their comfortable and inspiring gym wear and help them on their amazing journey to support mental health. Go hard, take part in your iron therapy, and be strong. Because when your mental health is as strong as you are, there's no telling how far you'll go.
And we're back on Apex to Asphalt on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. And it's time to get into the NASCAR weekend that was at Daytona. We had Trucks, O'Reilly, and Cup starting their season. No playoffs to talk about this year, but the chase for the Cup is well and truly back on. And we will get into starting with Wednesday with Cup Series qualifying, where Kyle Busch wins the pole at his 21st Daytona 500. Would he be able to turn that into a win? Spoiler warning, no. No, he would not. Chase Briscoe was second. In the duels, Joey Logano wins the first duel. Casey Mears outlasts competition, races way into the Daytona 500. And in race number 2, Chase Elliott wins the duel, and poor Anthony Alfredo, who just had a horrible weekend at Daytona between two series, wins his way into the Daytona 500 for Beard Motorsports, and then is disqualified for safety issues on the car. BJ McLeod gets into the Daytona 500. Unfortunately, his race only went 6 laps due to a half shaft going away, but that is unfortunate because Anthony Alfredo then failed to qualify for the Xfinity race. They had to buy their way into that race and then get wrecked because the RCR cars are playing games on the start.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure Anthony Alfredo would like to set Daytona on fire after how his weekend went.
Can't blame him.
I know I would, because that was awful. Let's get into the races that were. We'll start with the trucks. Of course, it was Wreckfest City because it is the truck race at Daytona. Tony Stewart was in that race, was involved in the first wreck of the day, and unfortunately finished down the order. Chandler Smith wins that race in an epic showdown on the last lap. But Chris, if you were watching the Fox broadcast, you wouldn't know it.
Yeah, it was crickets. I think I was more excited. I think I was doing more hooting and hollering, washing dishes than the broadcast team did, because that's what I was washing dishes, watching the end of this race, and like it was, to be completely honest with you, it was an embarrassment, because that finish, Chandler Smith, he literally comes out of nowhere and swings right around everybody in for the win, and the commentators, there's like 30 seconds of silence. They're like barely talking, and there's no emotion at all when they do finally talk. It was wild.
Look, I love Jamie Little. She's one of the best pit reporters that we have. She is not cut out for play-by-play. And I think we just have to accept that. The guy they have doing ARCA, he is excellent, and he needs to get more truck races. Jamie just needs to go back to just doing pit reporting only. I'm sorry. I want to like it, but she just isn't good.
It's knowing your strengths.
Yeah.
She's very personable. She's very good with interviews. I think the drivers trust her and are comfortable talking with her. And so is everybody on the grid. She's great. And I think where she excels the most is just down there in the thick of it, talking to people. I think that is where she thrives.
I definitely think she's great at in the pits and getting the stories. And I think that's where her bread is buttered, and that's where she should stay. And I hate being that person because I love Jamie Little. I love more women in motorsports getting opportunities, but Jamie just, it's not clicking. We'll go to the United Reynolds 300 now. The O'Reilly Auto Parts race to start their season on Saturday. Austin Hill wins, of course, because for some reason, Chris, the O'Reilly field has not figured out, move the 21 out of the way with 8 to go, and then you can battle it amongst yourselves. We have not figured that out.
They'll learn someday. Not 2 days ago, but someday.
Will they learn before the heat death of the universe?
I don't know.
I don't get it. And they just allowed the RCR cars to get back together. I'm like, how are y'all not forcing those cars out of line at every opportunity? I just don't understand how you let them find each other again, like they did several times in that race, and just dominated the top 2 positions.
Yeah. It just, people don't learn is what it comes down to. And so you've got Austin Hill, who is, I would say, the contender in O'Reilly, not Xfinity, O'Reilly. I would say he is the man to beat on, what we consider like plate races, tapered spacer races, whatever the hell we're calling them these days. I would say he's the guy to beat. And so if I'm behind him, or if I'm a crew chief or a spotter, I'm telling my driver, like, your number one priority is if that kid slips up in the slightest, you shuffle him out.
Yes.
Because that's what they do when we get into the Daytona 500. Joey Logano, Brad Keselowski, William Byron, especially Denny Hamlin, those spotters are saying especially if you're behind one of those four, if he makes the slightest mistake, you get his ass out of there.
Yes.
And it's just the difference between, and we talked about this a little bit in Supercross. It's the difference between, a feeder series or a second series versus the big dogs. And it's the mental game is the biggest difference between the two.
And clearly the mental game is lacking in the Xfinity series. But I think we've seen that.
I was going to say that's long established.
Yeah. So now we get into the 68th running of the Daytona 500. And Tyler Reddick wins the race. The first win for 23XI in this race. Their second crown jewel race. And it's with the Chumba Casino skin again.
I hear the ads on podcasts all the time that like there's this ad that plays like this Chumba Casino tune. It's the most annoying thing in the earth. But yeah, 23XI won their second most prestigious trophy in NASCAR. Yep. I prided myself on that as I was writing it.
Yes, their second most prestigious. Wait, what's the first?
Well, of course, the championship.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, the championship. Well, would that make the Brickyard the third most prestigious?
Yeah.
We're going down a rabbit hole here.
And then it's a toss-up. I would say historically Darlington, but I would argue Bristol Knight. I would rather if I was a NASCAR driver, Bristol Knight would be my number one race to win.
Mm-hmm.
That's just
I know the official count or the official crown jewels. I think they have it as the 500, the Coke 600,
Darlington.
But I can't remember it should be Bristol Knight,
but it's not.
And it's gonna bug me. I'm gonna Google this.
It's Texas.
Oh.
You know how sometimes, like on social media, you'll see that thing like you've been kidnapped and you have to tweet one thing to your followers to let them know like you've been kidnapped. Mine would be like, wow, that Texas race was great.
Okay, so I just named it, and I don't know why I forgot it. The crown jewels are Daytona, Coke 600, Southern 500, and the Brickyard.
Yep.
The Bristol Knight is kind of the fifth crown jewel
unofficial
race. Yeah.
Actually, Watkins Glen. I would want to win my home track over anything else.
Yeah. Watkins Glen is also a fun little road course when everything's going well.
Which exciting news. You're coming up in 2027, you said.
That is the hope.
You're going to crash at my place and we'll head to the race.
Yep. We'll have the IE Sports Radio spouses with us. Hopefully at that race as well.
At the Salem 6 Hours of the Glen.
Yep. So we're hoping that all works out. I would definitely would like to get up there to finally see that race. More news on that. And we'll probably have to try it. Well, no, because I have to get back to work. But we'll figure it out. It's 12 months away. 12 months away.
It's like 18 months away.
Yeah. Let me not start planning beforehand. Fuel saving, Lord have mercy. You know it's a NASCAR season when we have a great race.
No, Darryl, whatever
one innocuous thing dominates the conversation.
Whatever Salen's is, that's what we're doing.
There's sausages.
Oh,
so
never
maybe
mind.
not do that.
I'm not Salensing.
That is a sausage brand, so let us not say that.
No thanks. I don't like sausage.
Yeah. So stage 3, there was a little bit of fuel save strategy going on where the Toyotas got up front and kind of controlled the lanes with Bubba Wallace. I can't remember who was on the inside. I think it was Hamlin and Christopher Bell on the outside. No, Hamlin was involved in a wreck, so it was not him. I can't remember what the other Toyota was. But they were controlling the 3 lanes. There was about 1,800 Fords lined up behind them, and nobody did a thing to get them out the way. And after a great Daytona 500, where we set the record for lead changes, we had our lead number of leaders, 65 lead changes, we are complaining about fuel saving.
To be fair, it's fair.
I do not think it's fair. It is a part of the sport. It is always going to be a part of these races, especially now. We have begged for fuel strategy to matter again. We get a race where fuel strategy matters, and we complain. And I kind of want to pull the SpongeBob meme and say, then why did you ask for it? My situation with it is this. With the super speedway races and the long green flag runs that we get, with the cars locked together, there is going to be some sort of fuel saving going on. And I will argue that whole stint of extending to the pit stops to 20 to go made for an exciting finish even before we got the yellow flag, because we were going to see how all those groups that broke off like 3 or 4 at a time were going to come together to try and settle this race. And until the wreck happened, it was setting up to be an exciting finish. It still ends up being an exciting finish with Tyler Reddick, but the chess match that was being played there was incredible, and we're missing it for reasons that are unknown to me. And people are coming up with decisions to basically have NASCAR legislate the race. And do you really want them doing that? There's no genie that's going to make them go all out for all 200 miles. It's out of the bottle now. At some point, they're going to settle in to extend a stint, and we're just going to have to live with it.
I don't accept. I mean, it is what it is. It sucks, but it is what it is. It'd be nice to be able to work around that somehow, but what it's going to take is, like when you get that fringe caution where you've got some people who are able to, or get fuel, and they're to the good, and they're just going to have to fly on by and change the narrative around it. I don't know, but you're right. It's inevitable. It's here to stay. It's not going anywhere. It sucks. It kind of takes away from racing, but it is what it is. You either watch or you don't.
I think the 3 wide was awesome. I'd rather them do that than get up there and do the single file choo-choo train. I'd rather watch the cars be 3 wide.
We didn't see one choo-choo train the whole time.
No, because they were either 2 or 3 wide at the end. There's no fixing it because the teams are just going to do it. They're going to circumvent whatever change you make. So you just need to let them do what they want to do, and they will figure it out. It's just, you start meddling with the sport and we get the playoffs. Do we really want to start going down this road again? Because we already saw where that road gets us.
It's not a fun road.
No. So
that's what we're getting in supercars this year again.
Yeah. we'll see how.
No point even watching the Sprint Cup or the Enduro Cup or the first 3 rounds of the finals.
Hopefully, they will come to their senses.
If it wasn't the best racing on the planet, I wouldn't watch. But Supercars is the most exciting racing on the planet.
And it's sad that they went to the playoffs the year NASCAR decided, you know what, we shouldn't do this anymore. and
the year that Brock Feeney was like, I'm going to win like 60% of the races this year.
That didn't help either.
And then like P2 or P3 all the other ones.
Yeah. It's unfortunate. We do go to Atlanta this weekend, and it's a completely different track, completely different kettle of fish with the 1.5 mile super speedway. It'll be fun to see how it goes, and the handling is going to matter here at Atlanta a little bit more than Daytona, although handling is starting to come back on the menu in Daytona, as we saw during the weekend, especially during the duels where they were extremely squirrely. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
Almost time to get out of here. Time to go over the weekend coming up in racing, and it's also scrolling down on the bottom of your screen. Preseason testing for Formula One continues February 18th through the 20th. It'll start at 7 a.m. You can watch that on F1 TV and Sky Sports. The Repco Supercar season is back. Sydney 500, February 20th through 22nd. The actual stream will start a little bit earlier than the actual Supercars race, because you get everything when the Supercars comes to town. So you want to check that out from the time it starts. Check that out on YouTube for the start time of each day.
And PSA, it's time to renew your SuperView subscription.
Yes, if you let your SuperView lapse, now is the time to get it back.
Yep.
And
this week.
We will see you all in the chat during the weekend, because they keep their chat open and everybody talks in it, and it's great.
Yep.
Snowcross, the Seneca Allegheny in Salamanca, New York, February 19th through 21st. That'll be at 6 p.m. You can check that out on Flow Racing. Supercross is heading to Arlington, Texas for round 7, February 21st. You can watch that 7 p.m. on Peacock. We got a lot of racing on February 21st as the trucks. The Freight 208 will be at 1:30 p.m. and Xfinity, I did it.
Yep. Swear jar, 75 cents.
The NASCAR O'Reilly Series, Bennett Transportation.
It even says O'Reilly on the notes, Darryl.
I wasn't looking at the paper, okay?
Next week, I'm going to put it in like big, bold letters, like size 30 font.
So the NASCAR O'Reilly Series, Bennett Transportation 250, will be at 5 p.m. on the CW, and the racing weekend will conclude NASCAR Cup Series Auto Trader 400, February 22nd, 2:30 p.m. on Fox. Storylines for the week. Chris, what you got?
Brock Feeney dominated the Sprint Cup last season. Does he pick up where he left off? Now, last year at the Sydney 500, Cam Waters swept all 3 races. So probably not, but hopefully they're in the Ford this year. They've switched over from the Chevy Camaros. Kind of a callback to our Supercross segment earlier. Can Levi Kitchen get it done this weekend in Arlington? He has been the fastest on the track a lot of the time. Probably like 60% of the time over the last 2 weeks. Levi Kitchen's definitely been faster than Deegan, but Deegan's either got such a lead, or the kid's just kind of inhuman in a way too. So does he get it does he get it done this week in Arlington? I think he does, personally, or at least I hope so. It would be nice to see a different man on top of the podium for a change this season. And then not really too big for this week, but is anyone going to have a answer for Red Bull's apparent electrical energy harvesting success? Darryl, what about your storylines this week?
So, going into the Atlanta Cup race, will fuel saving play a role in the Atlanta Cup race? It is a 1.5 mile oval. There's a lot more, the corners are a lot tighter. It's a lot different style of super speedway racing. But at the end of the day, at some point, they're going to want to get this done in the least amount of pit stops possible. Will the fuel saving come into play? And how much of it, well, we know it'll come into play, but how much of an effect will it have on the racing? Who's going to take the reins of the 450 Supercross title? You got 5 guys separated by 18 points going into round 7. This is the time where somebody's got to get on the bike and take the reins of this thing. And whoever comes out on top in Houston, I think, is going to have a huge advantage going into the rest of the season. And finally, the Repco Supercar Series starts this weekend. I'm watching Toyota as a whole. They are bringing the Supra to Supercars for the first time. How will those cars fare? And will our defending champion have the same success in the Toyotas as he did in the Fords? It's going to be exciting when we get to the Sydney 500 or the Sydney
500.
Sydney 500 this weekend. Sorry, I had it right the first time.
Yep.
So we are ready to wrap up for this edition of Apex to Asphalt. Thank you so much for watching. Chris, let them know what they need to do.
Firstly, renew your SuperView subscription on YouTube. Supercars is the best racing on this planet. I promise you, if you do not watch Supercars right now, watch it this season. It is just the best racing overall. That's number one. Number two, maybe more important than renewing your Supercars SuperView subscription. Before you go to bed tonight, just please remember to brush your teeth and have yourself a wonderful evening.
We will see you guys next week. Enjoy the racing. And for Chris, I'm Darryl. Thank you so much for listening to Apex to Asphalt. See you next time.